Hello, everybody. I'm here with myself, Bobby K, and of course, Kuva. Unfortunately, we're not here as our usual jovial selves trying to bring you laughs and spread cheer. We unfortunately have some sad news of betrayal in our community and something that we feel has affected many people. And we wanted to share this information on behalf of our friend Rez from Shelf Side Spurs and many members that were affected in the community that you'll be hearing about shortly here. Coos.
Yeah, it's unfortunately serious time. I'll love to have a laugh and a joke, but this is just it's some information that we feel the community in the whole needs to know, and as a warning, mostly with a view to making sure this kind of thing can't happen again. No point talking about it too much at the moment. Rez has done an excellent video outlining everything that's happened and the steps we, as content creators that have known the situation for a little while now, have done to bring it to light and take the appropriate actions. It's out of our hands as far as we're concerned now. It's all up to the authorities, and we are doing this. We're broadcasting this video for your benefit, the people watching, the people that put in the super chats, the people that tune into all these channels and enjoy content from all of us. Me personally, I've considered Bob Spur one of my closest friends over the last year and a half. Got to know him during the COVID situation, saw him going in the hospital and everything. Really touched my heartstrings, as it did with a lot of us. Unfortunately, he's not the man I thought he was. And it's painful. It's made me angry. It's made me upset as well, even tearful. It's when you have your illusion of somebody that's close to you suddenly taken away from you. It's a difficult thing to handle, and I think a lot of you are going to be seeing the same thing when you see this video. Should we just play it now, Bobby?
Well, you're right, though, Coos. I just want to say, even when I was there, I met him, and he took my children around. He drove us around and said he met my family. He came into my family home, met my great nan, who unfortunately passed away the week after we came back. So to see that I was bringing the devil in disguise or the wolf in sheep's clothing into my home was very disappointing. But like you said, there's a lot more to be added to this, and we'll let Rez take it from here.
Hi guys, this video has been made due to some very unfortunate circumstances. Some of us in the streaming community feel that there's something that you need to know. So myself and Nick from Shelf Side Spurs show, Ben, Brian and Danny from Tottenham on Tour, Bobby K and Kuva from Three Spurs Boys, Stell, Iggy, Will and JP from Tottenham Away, Sean from Spurs Talk Show and Kim from Paxton Road TV have come together to create this video. There's someone within the community who's acted in a way that has caused some serious damage, both to individuals directly and to the community as a whole. That person is Bob Spur. Now, we realise that this may be difficult to believe and difficult to hear. Bob Spur has been a significant part of this community for the last 2 years and is viewed by many as a source of fun, humour and entertainment. His voice has been prominent in the discussions, arguments and debates we've had with each other. However, unbeknownst to us until recently, behind the smile and the jovial, irreverent behaviour lurked someone who seemed to have viewed the streaming community as a target for his schemes. As most of you will be aware, Bob Spur contracted COVID in December 2021 and was admitted to the Princess Alexandra Hospital in Harlow for treatment. He ended up staying there for 3 months or so before being released from hospital in March 2022. 2 months later, in May, Bob Spur did a 24-hour charity stream, the aim of which he said was to raise money for the NHS. He set a target of £500 for that stream and asked for donations to be made into a PayPal account at Bob Spur TV NHS. After the stream, Bob Spur continued soliciting donations, and the figure he said had been collected hugely surpassed the £500 target. and any date on which he said that the collection would end would always be pushed back into September, October, November. It never seemed to close. And then on into this year, eventually the total seemed to come to rest around the £10,000 mark, although the true figure was never very clear. The only figure we've been able to find that's clearly stated is £10,122. But some people have heard £10,000, others £11,000, still others £12,000. Given the store of videos on Bob Spurs' channel, and we suspect those that have been deleted, makes it impossible to actually pin him down to a number. Moving on. In May of this year, Kim and I discovered that Bob Spur had defrauded her out of £2,000 for the purchase of a new car whilst they were still in a relationship. We also found that he deliberately brought about a situation whereby Kim was driving around uninsured in a car that she thought she owned but actually didn't. The loss of the money was hard enough given how much it had cost Kim to look after him during his and following his illness. But cancelling her insurance without telling her, which is what he did, could have landed Kim in jail. We immediately reported Bob Spur to the police. And we began looking into him more closely and found out some very alarming information. What we found made us fear for the security of the money he had ostensibly raised for charity, given that there was evidence of him running afoul of the law previously, repeatedly, alongside what we discovered he'd done to Kim more recently, as I explained a moment ago. Bear in mind that the NHS money had disappeared into a private PayPal account, even though Bob Spur tried to claim that it was a charitable one. At Bob Spur TV NHS was the account address, and that is a private PayPal account. It's not a charitable one. Charitable accounts that PayPal's charitable function provides have very different addresses, and the amounts raised are available for all to see. Unlike PayPal Giving, which is what it's called, and other sites like Just Giving and GoFundMe, which he'd used to gather money twice before, let's not forget, a private PayPal account has no oversight and no way of people who have donated to determine just how much an individual collects. Given that, Kim and I felt that we had no choice but to share what we had found with certain members of the streaming community. As a result of that, a group of us came together to decide what to do about what we had found out. We decided that Bob Spur should be asked to meet with us to hear the accusations against him and to explain the status of the NHS money. He refused. He stated that there wouldn't be any discussions if the group contained two specific individuals, myself and Kim. So he was then invited to discuss it with the group without me and Kim being present, and only then to discuss the NHS money. He refused. He stated that he was not interested and that he would only talk with specific people within the community. So he was invited to meet only with only with Nick and Kuva, two of the people that he had specifically named he'd be willing to meet with. He refused. He stated that he would rather discuss things in his own time. So, as a group, we were beginning to have very grave concerns over the security of the money donated by potentially hundreds of people in the community, including ourselves. Bob Spur seemed to be viewing the money collected as if it belonged to him and not to the people who had donated it. The reality, the legal reality, is that in any charitable collection, money collected belongs to donors until such time as it's handed over to its intended beneficiaries, in this case, the Princess Alexandra Hospital. We continued our efforts to try and get clarity over the situation. We prevailed on Bob to meet with us, telling him that we needed incontrovertible proof of how much he had actually collected and to prove that it was all still in place. We felt that a screenshot provided by him wouldn't suffice, as pictures can be doctored. He does it all the time on his In the Wall show. Similarly, video recordings can be doctored too, so that was also not acceptable. Even a live stream where Bob Spur would navigate to a website and log in wouldn't be enough, because as we all know, in this day and age, the associated fakery is pretty easy to accomplish. There are websites like Fiverr and sites like that where one can find someone willing to put that together for a fee. The way we felt it needed to happen was for the transaction history on the account to be made directly available to someone neutral, unimpeded and uninfluenced, so that they could note all the donations given and whether any withdrawals had been made. We asked Bob Spur to arrange for temporary access to be granted to Sean Butler to conduct the necessary checks. We felt Sean was best placed to do so because of his background in the financial sector and because he's always demonstrated an evidence-based approach to things and would therefore be the ideal choice. So we asked Bob Spur to temporarily change the password on the PayPal account, provide that to Sean, and then be on hand to approve two-factor authentication when requested. This would then allow Sean to look over the account, report back his findings, and would prove once and for all the true status of the money Bob Spur had taken from the community. But again, Bob Spur played games. He evaded. He stalled. Sean himself, who contacted Bob Spur to discuss being given access, describes it as asking him 2 questions, then having to wait an age before getting half an answer back. And Bob Spur continued to muddy the waters while Sean tried to engage with him. He kept sending people screenshots that he claimed proved that the NHS money was still safe and secure in his hands. And then he went a step further. He sent one of the group a screenshot of his personal bank account showing a balance in line with the amount he claimed he'd collected. He tried to claim that he had done so over fears over the security of the PayPal account. This caused serious consternation among us, as it's unacceptable for charitable money to be moved into a personal account. And then, shortly after, we found that the PayPal account had disappeared. And that was that for the transaction history. We had no way of knowing how much Bob Spur had actually collected and whether it was all still there. At this point, we felt we had no choice but to involve the authorities, and we began making reports to Action Fraud, the organisation by which fraud is reported to the police. People in the group continued to ask Bob Spur to come forward to open up about the NHS money, but again he remained evasive, even with those with which he had a close association. And then finally, on Monday the 22nd of May, Bob Spur sent some of the group the following video.
Hello people. I'm a con man. Scamming comes easy to me. Lying comes easy to me. And I'm sorry. I don't know. Even before making this video, I'm coming out with justifications of what I did, why I did, which said itself there's something not right there. I've not been brought up like this. The intentions were never there, but going against the intentions was always easy. Dipping in, take a bit more, take a bit more, take a bit more, and then you're left with what you're left with. I like to say, I don't know what to do, but I do. And by the time you've watched this video, I'm going to be with the police, or still with the police, or have been with the police. But all I can say right now is I'm sorry. I've wanted to make this group and done what I should have done ages ago. Yeah. I'll speak to you later.
Now, what we can gather from that is not certain. Given his history, and what he's done to individuals and to the community as a whole, nothing Bob Spurs says can be taken at face value, no matter how much or how little we may wish to do so. Also to be borne in mind is that he sent that video after all other roads seemed closed to him. He had ample opportunity to come clean before and try to prevent it getting to this point, but he didn't. And even when pushed to the final limit, he mentions nothing specific, only that he dipped into something again and again. He mentions going to the police, but even with an outside source giving us information that he has done so, that's still not been verified. Even now, we have no idea what's actually transpired with the NHS money, only the individual transgressions he's perpetrated against Kim. I think it's fair to say, though, that the money, the NHS money, isn't safe with him. It's got to the point where we have to wait for the law to take its course before we can be in a position to know precisely what Bob Spur has done. As a group, we felt we had to make this video so that people have as much of the facts as we have available to us. Everything we've stated above, we can prove. If you donated to the collection and you wish to lodge a complaint, you can do so via Action Fraud. As I say, that's the organisation that takes reports of fraud on behalf of the police and then basically reports it to the police. If you do and you wish your complaint to be linked to the other ones, you can mention in the section where you describe the incident the following crime reference number. NFRC, so that's November Foxtrot Romeo Charlie. I'll start again. NFRC, so that's November Foxtrot Romeo Charlie 230-505-943-726. I'll put that crime reference number and the details of Action Fraud in the description as well. We also want you to be forewarned and forearmed to treat with skepticism any narrative Bob Spur may try to spin that doesn't align with what we have discovered. Don't be fooled by shows of remorse. He's done that before. He has to come clean about what he's done, both to individuals and the whole community, for the things that we can outright prove and for the things we're left only with speculation over. Given the tone of that video I just showed you, it may seem to you like we're kicking someone while he's down, that he's punishing himself enough, but he has once again shown his evasiveness even after making that video. He offered to meet with Kim and I this week to discuss what he had done. When we agreed to meet with him, he made excuses to cancel. All along the line, he has evaded and delayed and obfuscated, perhaps waiting for the heat to die down so that he can gradually reingratiate himself with the community. But it is important that as a community, we do not forget. If you wish to know more about what's happening, come to us for information if you want it. We're open, we've nothing to hide, and we're happy to share what we know, as long as it doesn't prejudice any ongoing investigation by the police, of course. Remember, whether said in genuine remorse or said to serve an unknown agenda, Bob Spur has admitted to taking what isn't his. You heard that in his own words from his own mouth. For our part, we promise that we'll try, to whatever extent we're able, to ensure that any money that remains is given to the Princess Alexandra Hospital, even if it's a penny. Obviously, with the authorities involved, our ability to do that is limited by due process of law. But you who've been harmed have our solemn promise that we'll do all in our power to see that at least some good comes out of this awful situation. But most importantly, we want to prevail upon all of you watching, not to turn your backs on your community. Yes, there are people out there, and I mean in the world generally, who may appear genuine, but who only wish to take from you, to use you for their own ends. People like that won't come to you rubbing their hands and cackling. They'll appear like the rest of us, as your friend, someone who you can build a rapport with. You know, the devil wears a pleasing aspect, to coin a phrase. but most, the vast majority, are genuine people who don't wish to do harm. Even when we argue, they want to hear and be heard, enjoy and be enjoyed, love and be loved, to have fun and share of themselves with others. Most, the vast majority of the people in this community do that. This community really came together during a time of difficulty in the world. It cohered under the strictures that COVID caused us to live under, and it helped many to cope and some even to thrive. That's valuable, and we mustn't let it be destroyed because of the actions of a single bad actor. For all our differences, for all our petty rivalries, debates and arguments, what unites us is always far greater than what divides us. And what unites us goes beyond just the colours we wear on a Saturday afternoon. We all have cares and hopes and needs and desires, and they're all of a similar stripe. We worry about our health, our families, our friends. We laugh at each other's jokes and japes, and yes, sometimes even our failings. We love those around us and are loved in return. Those things mean that this community can and will survive what has befallen it through the actions of one person. It can forge ahead and grow closer and stronger. We ask that those of you who are a part of it, be it content creator, chat contributor, or silent viewer, stay with this community and help it move beyond what has happened so that we can all benefit from what it delivers. Come on, you Spurs. You guys are on mute.
Yep. Good way to do then that video. It's
Yeah.
kind of what I feel like doing. Just don't want to
say,
talk
yeah.
about it part of the time. What's the initial feeling when first found out all of this is as I said, there's a period of disbelief. Yeah, how with this person we know it's the jovial character as you said in the video, Rez. For all this to come unfolding, it's hurtful. It's really, it destroys the illusion of what I thought this YouTube community was. For me, it has been a basis for a lot of fun. I mean, if I'm perfectly honest, when it first came to light what's happened, I felt like walking away. I really felt like just dropping all YouTube streams, just go and do something else. But then the likes of yourself, Rez, you taught me out of it. And you're right. This is a healing process now for a lot of us. And it's a way of drawing strength off each other and open our eyes. Just make sure this doesn't happen again. When somebody's doing a charity stream, just check it. They will do it. When you see the likes of Sava do a charity stream, he points out it's an actual official charity that you're donating to. None of this personal accounts. It's very much above board, very clear what you're getting. We just got to look out for each other. That's the moral of the story.
Well, that's the thing. That's how easy it was. Sorry, how easy it was for us to all fall for it because we trusted this person. So none of us even thought to question the fact that it's not a recognized charity link. That was one of the things. But I also want to point out one fact that today, the day we're posting this video, is May the 30th. I found out about this on May the 8th. So this is 22 days now that have gone by that this person has had the opportunity and been given ample opportunities to step forward and try to make some amends for what he has done. All of us are affected in one way or the other. Like Kuva said already, emotionally, physically, even financially. Some people might just think, okay, I only donated a small amount. It's no big deal. But when you factor in all those small amounts and how many people, a lot of people right now with COVID and everything, it's that 5-10 pound could have gone a long way to help them somewhere else. So this is why we're here, letting you know what's happened, and this is why we felt it was important to share Rez's message.
I think it's important that we don't we try not to view each other too suspiciously, though. There's a line to be drawn, or a line that we sort of need to go to, but not beyond. You know, ultimately, the vast majority of people will not act in this fashion. It's like when you hear, you know, news stories about some scam or some attack or some act of violence. It's very easy to think that that's all that the world is made up of, but it really isn't. The reason that we all tend to sort of rub along is because fundamentally the vast majority of people are good people, and good people get on with each other. We shouldn't ever lose sight of that there are all around us good people, people that are kind and share the same hopes and dreams that we all have. So, I mean, I know for a fact that there's a couple of people out there who want to do charity streams, and it's a good thing that they do. It's just a case of just not being skeptical, or sorry, being skeptical until it's proven, but not suspicious. You know, make sure that it's being paid into a visible place, like a GoFundMe page or a Just Giving page, or even a PayPal giving page, where what's collected is viewed is has oversight over it from someone else. You know, with a GoFundMe page, every donation is logged and publicly visible. Not necessarily the people who have done it, but it's all there. The amount is there. And, you know, they put in controls and checks to make sure that the money does eventually go to the beneficiaries. You know, we ultimately, it's an experience. It's been a difficult and painful one, and it's been particularly painful for Kim because of, you know, her being so affected, so closely affected by it. And that has been difficult to work through. But the community as well has healing to do together. And I think that if we allow ourselves to become atomized by this, then that is a further injury to all the injuries that we've suffered because of it. And so, yes, it is about letting people know what's happened. Yes, it is about giving them some forewarning and some protection. But really, it is all about staying together and having that sense of community with each other.
And that's why we're here, to make sure that you as a community know what's happened, and we can prevent it from happening again, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that was the biggest, longest sort of 3 weeks or so of nearly a month of having to keep it under our hats, because we knew some of the facts. It was making sure we could prove it all, getting it to the right people. It's in the hands of the authorities. And just making sure people don't fall into the trap. I certainly have, and I let Rez and Kim down in this way, thinking this was just all about a breakup sort of scenario. It went much deeper than that. And the fact is, when you break it down, what Bob Spur has done in terms of that NHS fund, as soon as the money left our hands, effectively, we believe that is the hospital's money. Well, it is. It's certainly not Bob's money. So he is basically stolen thousands, we believe, maybe, from basically the hospital. It's like whatever's left, if any, who knows?
If any.
And the fact he's tried to get away with it and then obfuscate and changing, closing the account.
First tried to cover it and then get away with it.
I mean, ultimately,
because I know Kuva. Sorry, Rez. I know the reason this kind of dragged on, and some of you might wonder why it took so long for us to even present this and let you people know that have been affected. it's because of what Kuva just said. We had to verify a lot of things, and I know for a fact Kuva, because of the kind of person he is and the heart that he has, still had some form of a hope that Bob would be able to justify his actions, and he was given ample opportunity to do so. Till this day, right now, 22 days later, after I found out, nothing has happened, and there's been zero communication or zero show of any kind of remorse and intent to rectify all these accusations against him and everything that can be proven against him as well.
Just, I mean, we gave him chance after chance. You know, there were times where we wanted to move quicker, but we had to move slowly in order to give him the opportunity to make the best fist of this for everyone, to try and limit, not on a personal level, but limit the damage, or to soften the damage that has already been done. The damage was done the minute that anyone donated, because as soon as that happened, that money was essentially gone because of what happened later. But there were opportunities in which this could have been handled in a way that didn't cause as much damage, and they were spurned over and over again. And yeah, the key thing here is I still would encourage anyone who has donated, just Google how do I report a fraud. Even if you live outside of the UK, you can still go onto the Action Fraud website and lodge a complaint. If you mention, you don't even have to necessarily mention that that number there. But if you do, it will help Action Fraud and the police to link all the complaints together, and it will give more of an impetus for them to actually investigate and do something about it faster, because lots of people will have been affected by this. We've been preyed upon, and other than the us coming together and healing each other, we should also give some thought to finding out if we can get some justice done as well. So yeah, just the Action Fraud website, that's the way in which fraud is reported to the police now, because obviously fraud doesn't have geographical boundaries in the United Kingdom, because each part of the country will have its own constabulary, and fraud can not have a base, could even not be a base within the UK. It's all done in a central place, which is done by Action Fraud. So yeah, go on their website, you can sign up, which will then give you updates, or you can do it without signing up. You know, mention that that reference number or not, as you prefer.
Here's the link right here.
Yeah.
And sorry, Rez, just to be clear, this is applicable anybody around the world.
Anyone around the world
can. Yeah, you do not have to just live in the UK. You can, like myself from here, from Canada, anybody from wherever you donated from, you will be able to access this link, put this link in, and make sure you try to link it with this reference number, so it creates almost a larger case and makes it easier for the police.
That's right.
I'll add to that, because there could be a bit of confusion when filling out a form like that. There are some generally strange things there, but if you do put in the notes and with that reference number, they will easily be able to link it. If you've got Bob's aliases, you know, Bob Spur, Bobby Singh.
His full name is Arvinder Singh Dharan, spelled Dharan, if you want to put that, and then you can put aliases known as Bob, Bobby, or Bob Spur. So those things you can also do. The one thing I would say, the one area that might be slightly confusing is at the beginning when you try to choose the type of fraud it is. I think it's under. I'll actually go on and see. Bear with me a sec. If you report on there, bear with. So it's under. Is it under that? No, not that one.
So while you're looking that up, I can actually say Action Fraud came and visited me the other morning, so they could sit with me because they also take on board the fact that it's victims reporting these things.
Yeah.
So they come to make sure that you are okay. Maybe not
Yes.
if you're outside of the country, but then they can go through the details and you can talk more openly about everything you know about it, because they are collecting all the data they need to process it and put it onto the police so it can go further.
That's right.
So it's in everybody's interests, if you know something about it, to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you've got to sort of navigate it to find charity fraud, which is essentially what it is. But ultimately, you know, once you're through that, it is just a case of just filling out a form. It takes 10 minutes or so, and you'll get, whether you sign up or not, you'll get another reference number like that for your own specific complaints as well.
Yep.
And they'll contact you by email, you know, as they investigate and so forth. Because in this country, when someone reports a crime, if a suspect is arrested and questioned, they generally will tell the victim that it's happened. They will keep victims informed of this. So, you know, I would encourage you to do that, to maybe see if some way down the line, at the very least, if there's anything left. I mean, I don't know whether or not the hospital would accept it, because it is the proceeds of crime. I mean, I don't know how it works, but you know, maybe in some fashion, the money can get to the Princess Alexandra Hospital. Or if you're of a mind, the hospital has its own charity, and it's got its own Just Giving page. You can just Google it and make a donation directly, if that takes, if people are of a mind to do that, or anywhere else. It's not for me to say.
I think that covers it, doesn't it, gentlemen?
It does.
No frills, no whistles, just sad
no
times.
Games. Sorry.
Just make sure we all try and pull together and come through this stronger, come closer with the people that matter.
100%. Exactly.
Clearly, this one doesn't. He's chosen that, and do not feel pity. He has brought this entirely on himself. Do not buy into crocodile tears or acts of how it's going to affect him. He has done this. It's his choice entirely. It's calculated. It's cold. It's callous. That's the type of person he is at heart. Don't believe the bullshit.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
There you go.